Welcome to the Max Bet Podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything gaming. I'm Landon Jones, here with Mike McKiskey. Let's get started.
What's going on, brother? How are you?
Episode 32, baby.
32. That's a lucky one, I feel like.
Let's rock and roll. What's your number again? I feel like I should know this.
74. 74.
Dang, we got
a ways off.
We go to 74.
I'm thinking about that, though. But math serves me right. We should get there in 2021. I mean, we're pushing these out every week. So you figure there's roughly 52 weeks in a year.
Yep. Should
be okay. So 50 plus, we'll be right at the end. So right around Thanksgiving, I'll probably be giving thanks for 74 episodes. That'll be the move.
I'm in. I love it. It's been a good ride. We always say that every week. Oh, it's been a good ride. Here we are.
Yeah, it's just the people are like, shut up, guys. We get it. What do you got going on, man? What's cooking with you lately?
In my life?
Yeah, whatever. Speaking.
Still working on my resolutions. I'm trying to be more present, man. I love that text or that email we got from Adam Whitehurst, and just being more present in the moment and not worrying about tomorrow or worrying about yesterday, and just being in the moment. And that takes some serious training.
Yeah.
It's easier than it sounds, right? But you just got to be aware and let things that are in your head kind of drift off, and be present and handle what you need to handle now. And that's what I'm working on.
Yeah.
Exciting
Nice
stuff.
Yeah. It's funny. I pulled up my goal sheet from last year. Right.
Yeah.
And it was, I had to call bullshit on myself. Right. Like I had so many things. Well, I didn't do most of it. You know what I mean? And part of it was, I think the template I used, which isn't a bad template, but it was like, it forced you to put a lot of stuff in, and so it's not necessarily things I cared about. It was just things. It was like, well, I need 10 things in this box, so I'm going to write them all down. And I didn't do 8 of them. And I think because if I really would have just stopped and said, well, what do I want to do? It might've just been 2 things. So I'm trying to narrow down my, my year right now. I mean, I know it's still the, the 8th today, and it'll be the 11th or whatever when we drop this, but it's, I want to do like the 2 or 3 things that I know I'm going to do, and just go, no, this is it. Like it may only be 2 things or 3 things, but I'm going to actually do them, rather than having 30 things when I just go, well, 28 of those are bullshit. So I don't know why I wrote them all down, but yeah, it's hard, man. When you really try to goal set and actually get it done, it's a different approach.
It's funny when we do goal setting, we always kind of like think about our career. Most people do. They think about their career and they goal set for their career. This year, that's my opinion anyways. That's what I've done.
Yeah.
And most people's goals that I've heard are always career driven or money driven.
Career and health, I feel like, are probably the big 2, right? Like you want to be the next level, and you want to either drop or gain or tone up or whatever the fitness thing is, or run a marathon, right? So I feel like those are typical buckets for a lot of folks.
Yeah, but I think for me, I missed the point, because I always do career and then health, like you say, but I never think about why I'm doing it. So this year I'm going to be present. I'm going to think about what I want, not in terms of like my career or health. Like, what do I want to achieve that. And then everything else should be easier, because if I'm happy or in a good place, then I think everything else will fall under that goal or that like vision. And that's kind of what I'm working on. I know that sounds stupid and cheesy.
No, that's good, man. Well, I think that's what, it's weird, man. I feel like I've heard that a lot. Like that it's going to hurt this year, right? Like it's weird. Like I feel like, and maybe I'm just looking for that type of messaging, but everywhere I go on social media, people are going to go, hey, you want to get better. Like it's going to sting. Like it's going to be uncomfortable. Like I remember back, even when I was working out a lot more playing football, like, man, you'd hit the gym and then you would be sore like for days. Yep. Or if you hit the field, especially when you're getting just crushed helmet to helmet, like it hurts. You're getting better. Like I was definitely better when I graduated than I was when I showed up, but there's a lot of pain along the way. And I think you forget that. So it's weird. Like, I feel like there's something in the air where people are going, yeah, this is going to suck, but we're going to be better for it. So we'll see how that all goes for, everybody's goals. But
I think we as humans tend to avoid pain, and regardless of what you're trying to achieve, no matter what, whether it be like physical fitness or personal goals or career wise, being uncomfortable and pain is a part of that growth. You'll never get to the next step unless you put yourself in an uncomfortable position and step outside the box and just go, and then figure it out when you get there. That's growth. I mean, that's true growth in any way, shape, or form. We get in these comfortable situations where we stay in line with what we're used to, and there's no growth there. You can get, so I mean, yeah, that's a good point. It's a great
that'd
point.
be cool. I mean, I'm not the guy people want fitness advice from, so I'm not going to go there, but it's, that's my thing is like, it's easy to sit on the couch. So harder to get on the Peloton or in the gym or for me, the garage is my gym, but like, harder to do that. So just trying to remember, like embrace the suck, I think is what, coincidentally our guest today says often, right? Is like, hey man, just embrace it, man. Just get into it, get out of it. And you'll be good.
Yeah, man. So we're bringing in, I mean, I know who we're interviewing, but Robert Perry, hanging with Robert Perry today. He is one of the boys. He has been in the industry for over 2 decades.
Yeah, I was going to say long time. He's
He's
not that old,
good
but I feel like he was like 21 and just got immediately into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for a guy that's been in it that long, he's actually not an old guy, but.
And he's been the most mentioned guest other than probably Andrew Burke.
we were going to shout. We were saying that. Yeah, he would.
Yes.
He was probably number one. I mean, you got a few guys shouting him out because, like you mentioned, Burke. You mentioned, I think Pookie said his name. Matt Wilson obviously shouted him out. So there's a lot of people talking about RP, and it was like, let's get him. Let's just hang out with him. And I'm excited because for me, this is why we did this show. Right? Like it's fun, awesome to hang. All these cool people we met, but it's like, man, this is what we do. We just want to get on, talk to our friends, and just go through some different stories and chop it up. So I don't know where this one's going to go, but I'm stoked for it because I hope he's always got some good stories and good energy. So I'm pumped to have him on, to have him join us.
Should we bring him in?
Bring him in, man. I'll let him in the waiting room here on the old Zoom call. That's how it works. RP, what's good, brother? Welcome to the show. So RP, man, we're happy to have you on, brother. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you guys are doing this, and it's been fun to listen to all of them. And I'm a big fan of both of you individually, as you know. So having you together is even better.
Awesome, man.
1 + 1 = 3.
That's why you're here. You're number 3, man. I love it. What, not to put you straight on the spot, but do you have an interview that jumps out that you're like, man, that's one that maybe you've shared more than others, or some that come to mind right off the hop?
I like listening to Matt Wilson just because I'm friends with him, and
yeah.
I didn't know all those stories. So I think a lot of times you get a little bit out of somebody. I didn't realize he had like the choice between going to work for the newspaper and going to work in the gaming space. And he has done very well for himself and in the gaming space. And he's just a good friend and one of those guys that would do anything. So that's probably my favorite so far.
Nice.
Seems like that's been like a regular story or a trending story. Here we go again. Just fluffling my words as we get started. But it seems like that's been a trend with the people that we've been interviewing. Like they kind of just fell into gaming. Like they had no idea where they were headed. And then all of a sudden this opportunity in gaming came about. And then, they never looked back. How did you get into gaming?
Yeah, mine was interesting because I was at Ole Miss and I got an accounting degree and went and worked for Ernst & Young for a little bit, and then came back, and they wanted me to get my master's in accounting so that I could sit for the CPA and go back to work for Ernst & Young. And I wanted to get my MBA. I thought that would be more diverse and allow me to be a little bit more marketable. And this headhunter was recruiting 6 people in the U.S. to be sales cadets for Aristocrat.
Wow.
And so there were a couple of appealing things about it. One was I wasn't great in school. I was ready to get out. And then 2 was the kicker was it was 12 weeks training in Sydney, Australia. So nice. I'm from Brandon, Mississippi, like 25,000 people. And, I've traveled a little bit, but at that point, I think I'd been to Europe and, but not really, that was with a school trip, but haven't traveled that much. And just Sydney, Australia seemed just amazing. So I just threw my name in the hat, not really thinking anything would happen because I was only the year 1 of the MBA program. And long story short, I interviewed with Ken Jolly by the time I had gotten through all the hoops over the phone and that kind of thing with the headhunter and then Aristocrat. And then Ken came and met me in Memphis and interviewed me there. And he told me he couldn't understand anything that I said the whole time. And I told him I couldn't understand anything he said. This was after the fact, after I got the job. But
nice.
But he gave me the job, offered me the job. I went down to Sydney and, trained up where Aristocrat owned, 90% of that market. And then came back to Mississippi where Aristocrat owned like 2% of the market.
Yeah.
So it was, I was pretty jaded coming back. Like, what the hell did I sign up for? But it's been a wild ride. That was in 2000. So
That's wild,
This is,
man.
yeah. So this
What
is
was that like
2000.
over there? So when you were there, was it like, I don't want to say militant, but was it like pretty classroom, all day learning, or were you kind of cruising around going from, pub to pub, playing some games and shooting some beers? Like how was that experience for you?
Yeah, they try to take us through every part of the business as far as the training part of it goes, but we were all single. It was like 6 people right out of school, 5 guys and a girl, and we were paired up with a sales cadet down in Australia. So I was lucky enough to get Kurt Gazane as my counterpart. So we had presentations to do, and it was still a fairly new program. So I think we were maybe the 3rd or 4th class to come through, and I wouldn't say it was hard work at all. It was a lot of fun, and we got to go out with some of the people that live there. They took us sailing, and everybody was super hospitable. I really relate a lot of that, that mindset to the South. Everybody's super, friendly and open, and come over to the house and have a barbecue and meet the family and that kind of thing. And I just really, I fell in love with that culture and the people there, and still want to take my family back there at some point.
What was your favorite city in Australia? Did you go to a couple different, or were you just kind of
stuck in probably. So we used to do a sales event, a global sales conference there every year. And so one of the years my wife was pregnant with our first child, Knox. And so I took my brother so we could bring like our significant others. And so he was my significant other, and got to go on the wine tours and all the spouse stuff, which was pretty funny. And afterwards we stayed for a couple of days. We went up and dove in Cairns. And so we stayed in Port Douglas, and Port Douglas is probably my favorite city in Australia.
You do the Whit.
Sydney's hard to beat as well.
Like the Whit Sundays and all the islands.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That's awesome. Australia's a different place, man. It's
you
crazy.
Lived there, right, Landon?
For a little while, yeah, I lived there for a year, but it's just nuts that it's such a big country and there's as many people in Australia as there are in California, but it's just a cool culture. And like you said, everybody's super nice and just some beautiful, beautiful places to visit.
Yeah. Well, my understanding is everything in the middle of that country is trying to kill you. So everybody just kind of sticks to the beach. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not like, as big as it is, it's not all populated as, I speak from no experience. I've been there once, but it's wild.
We went there. We were in college and we went hiking in the Blue Mountains, and we found this little like majestic lake in the middle of what seemed like, the rainforest, but it was like jungle, right? And all our buddies, we stripped down, we're jumping in, we're swimming, and this Aussie comes walking down the trail. He's like, "Hey, mates, wouldn't be swimming in there. There's some big snakes." And we're like, "Shit." So I've never swam as fast. I never swam that fast in my life.
And at that point you just wonder, because like every Aussie I've met has a great sense of humor. So you don't know at that point, is he screwing around with you, or is he for real? Like you're out of there either way. Yeah.
There's big snakes in Australia, so I would assume that that could be a very real possibility. But well, cool, man. I'm excited to have you on. What are you up to this weekend? What are you doing? Seems like you're headed out.
Yeah, so we have a lake house in Arkansas, so taking my crew over there this afternoon. So
you got any big snakes in that lake, or that's pretty easy swimming?
There are actually snakes there, yeah, but they're scared of humans.
And the lake house is different from the farmhouse, right? Because I want to talk about this farm, because this thing sounds amazing.
Yeah, the lake house was Ashley's, my mother-in-law's house, and she passed away and left it to us, and it's been a lot of fun. We've been wakeboarding and wake surfing, and just getting over there and pulling the plug. Both of the places have very little cell signal, so that's good for people that are on the run and like me and the whole family. And this COVID has obviously slowed us down a little bit, but those 2 places during COVID were lifesaver for me, because I'm used to running hard.
You gotta be careful though, man. You say Southern Hospitality and Lake House, you're gonna, after this thing airs, you're gonna get 400 people texting you going, "Hey man, I'm in. Let's go. Where do I go? Arkansas, I heard about." Yeah.
It's an open door policy at the Perry household, man. I try to get as many people over here as possible. I've gotten a few, so.
That's wild, man.
So both of you guys, you hadn't been here yet.
Yeah. How's your wake surfing coming? You getting better? Is Knox driving the boat?
All right.
Yeah. All right. We got to set a video this weekend.
For a minute, enough for a short video and a couple of still shots.
Send us a wake skating video. And we'll put it on the old MaxBet Media as your
my handle.
Your hype video.
Your hype video. I love it.
Man, so RP, when I think of guys that have lived life, man, you are always right at the top, whether it's cadet program in Australia. I mean, you've had a ton of just personal developments, but your career success, you moved all over the world, right? So this is a question I saw lately, and you're like the guy I would want to ask. So it says, like, if you could go back to when you were 18 and tell yourself something, what would you tell yourself now that you've lived probably more life than most people, your age or even older? Like, what would you go back and give yourself as like a young buck advice?
Yeah, I mean, I think most recently I hadn't taken myself as seriously as I used to. So that would probably be it, to just, to try to get a little bit of a head start on that. I tell people that I have an accounting degree and an MBA, but I could do my job out of the sixth grade. So, I think I had some skill sets that I was born with and was around a lot of people that helped me. And, just being real and being authentic, and wear my heart on my sleeve. And I kind of try to manage that way so that people can be comfortable. And, I think a lot of times you get in this business setting and everybody has to be completely buttoned up. And, I've been a part of those organizations or part of those meetings before. And, it's just not as much my style. So, and I've tried to have a different style that wasn't mine. And then I think that once I realized that, I'm from the South, I need to take advantage of that. A lot of people think, well, you talk slow, so you're stupid. So I think a lot of times, I've been able to use that to my advantage. And I think authenticity is a big deal. Just being real with people is the way that I've conducted my business. And again, being 21 years in the gaming space, hopefully there's not a lot of people that can say, Robert Perry screwed me over on a deal, because that was never the intention. And I think, again, just in being able to create a sales team and create an environment where people are open to, talk about their families and talk about their struggles and just be real, I think has really helped me in my brand.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And how did you end up doing that? I mean, because it's really tempting, I would say, to be inauthentic, right? I don't know if that's even the right word, but to say, oh, well, that guy's acting a certain way, I want to be like that person or him or her or whoever. How is it that you were comfortable enough to just say, nah, this is me, man, for better or worse, this is here I am? Is it just a matter of almost like cliff diving, you just jump off and see where it goes? Or how do you show up so authentically every day? Because I would agree with that. You are you, man. There's no one like you, and you own it. So I'm just curious how you came to be that. Yeah,
I think that probably stems from like how I was raised. I think more than anything is just that, my mom was a school teacher. She raised my brother and me, and I had a great mentor in my brother, Michael. And so we were both taught, a work ethic where, like, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And that's not my phrase. That's a phrase that's out there, but I completely agree with that. And we were never, like, we were taught not to, look down on anybody, because we were always the guys at the bottom. And so we took that kind of like, mentality of, who's going to be, at the bottom, and how are you going to kind of claw and climb your way to the top. And with a lot of hard work and some lucky breaks along the way, I've been able to get to what I consider the top of my game in the sales organization. And I'm not aspiring to be a CEO. I really like my position where I am. I think that, I've been able to work with people and help grow and be able to hire and move around and that kind of thing. So, I think the base is, being an underdog and trying to go after the big dogs.
So knowing what you know now, if you could create the perfect dream job for Robert Perry, you could go back, what would that dream job be? Is it what you have now, or would you kind of tailor it a little bit differently? What would the ultimate Robert Perry dream job be?
Yeah, I like the sales aspect of what we do. It's hard for me to sit still. So I've really enjoyed being able to go to different markets and travel around and see the world. I may have made it a little bit more international. I think that, I like going to new places and meeting new people. It would never involve an office. I think that to me is tough. This, again, back to the COVID thing and being able to have to sit still for as long as we have over these last kind of 9 months has been tough for me. And I miss people. I miss our customers. I miss our employees. I miss, friends and that kind of thing. So the dream job for me is, the more the merrier, trying to bring people together. And I think, I've been able to connect a lot of good people together. And I think now more than ever, my, my skill set surrounds just getting good people together. And if there's a snake out there, which there are, we were talking about snakes earlier, but just steer clear, and I've said before, like, negative people can't stand to be around me because I just, have very little time for them because life is just too short.
Yep. That's all we have is time at the end of the day, right?
Yep.
I mean, international, you've moved around a few times in the US. It's too how many states have you lived in, RP?
Yeah. So a quick synopsis of where I started and where I ended up and where I am now. I was the guy with my hand up the whole time, and people would say, "What's your hand up for?" And I'm like, "I don't know, just for the next thing." And so I started in Oxford, Mississippi, because Aristocrat let me live here to finish my MBA, and then finished that. Went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was covering that market. So we had our first child in Oxford, had our second child in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Moved to Little Rock, Arkansas to get more support from grandparents because I was traveling a lot. Had our third child there. Moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. I worked for 2 years at Poker Tech, which Aristocrat owned a portion of. So had our fourth child there, and then again moved back to Memphis, Tennessee, to be again closer to family. And then I took the no children in Memphis. So four is what we had. My oldest said, "Oh, I know what that means. We're moving. That we're having another kid." But moved to Las Vegas. And at that time, back at Aristocrat, and ran sales for Aristocrat, and then left there and came to AGS. So 6 years at AGS moved me from Las Vegas to Oklahoma City back to Memphis, and then unfortunately in 2016, my brother and sister-in-law were in a tragic plane crash, and so they had 3 children. Again, my brother was my hero, so I would do anything for him. And so we've moved back to Oxford, Mississippi. So we've done like this full loop only to be back where we started. So, but this is where my wife and I both went to college. It's a small town, but a small college town, and has a lot to offer. And so, now raising 7 kids, 10 to 18, 5 girls and 2 boys. And I knew that, I knew I would have a few girls, but 5 is a pretty good punishment. But I'm hoping they take care of me when I'm older.
They're
lucky to have you, man. They're all lucky to have you, brother.
5 girls and a wife. That's a lot of ladies in the house, man. Do you are the dogs and cats? Are they?
Too, so.
Well, you got girl dogs. That's what I was going to ask you. Are they at least get a couple
yeah.
boy dogs, man? Jeez, you and the 2 boys got to get out and hit the golf course or something. Just get a little breather.
That's right. They love when I do the TikToks. I can add that to my bio as well.
I love when you talk about making lunches for school. It's like an assembly line at your house. You go through a loaf of bread a day, or just in the morning, right?
Yeah, we've been able to kind of change up the chores a little bit. So I've got the kids. We have 7 kids, 7 days in a week, and each of them have a day to do their laundry. So they're all doing that. They're all making their lunches now. So we've got 4 drivers, so that helps. So yeah, a lot's changed in the 4.5 years since we've been down here.
That's wild, man.
And Landon, I was actually coming to see you that week. I don't know if you remember that.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it happened, it was in August and happened on a Sunday. I was supposed to fly out to travel with Landon on Monday morning. And I remember talking to David Lopez and Andrew Burke. And, I still owe my life to those guys for supporting me and, taking care of the team while I had to be out and keeping me employed. So.
I remember right where I was when I got that call from David Lopez. Still to this day, he's like, "Hey, RP's not coming." I'm like, "What? We got a golf tournament. He has to come." Like, there's no chance. He's like, "No, I'll call you back in a minute."
Yeah.
And just from there, your whole world has kind of shifted. But yeah, that's a wild ride, man. I can't even barely take care of myself. I can't imagine you having to take care of 7 kids, manage a family and a whole team of employees. So my
Yeah,
hat's
it's a
off to
little
you, sir.
juggling, but again, that's why I think being authentic makes a difference, because a lot of times, I've got something to do to take care of my family and I can't go on a trip or I can't make a meeting. And if I was to try to separate the two, it would be impossible. And so I think that's where, we all talk about like this work-life balance, and it's, they're intertwined. And if you're not honest and authentic with the people that you're working with, then, you're going to get exposed at some point. And I'd just rather not do that.
What's the biggest life lesson that you've learned through this whole thing that you can share with everybody to kind of like be more mindful of? Or I mean, because that's a crazy experience to have to go through.
Yeah, and hopefully nobody listening to this has to experience that. But
yeah,
I think I've had this goal that you both know about, but just to kind of to tell the story. It's a lot easier to tell now than it used to be, obviously. But
Sure.
and part of it is just my brother and I both had our estate plans set up to where we reciprocated. We both ran pretty hard, for work, and we thought like we're going first, and then just make sure the wives and the kids are taken care of. And so it's not a comfortable conversation, but nobody's getting out of this thing alive. So I think one of the learning things is just to make sure, if you do have people that you're responsible for, Landon, even you with Blue, I think that you got to like write that down. You got to sit down with somebody and make sure that, especially if you have kids, who's going to raise the kids. A lot of times the dad thinks his siblings are more equipped. The mom thinks her siblings are more equipped. Those are tough conversations. It's something that you have to have. So that's one part of it. And then the other thing is just patience. I think that, I've learned more about patience and more about just not taking life too seriously. I mean, if most people would look at what they're really stressing about, I think it's laughable to most degree anyway. Yeah. It's just kind of like, really, you're going to ruin your day over the fact that your waffle got burned this morning or whatever. I mean, but people let that happen. So I think that's it. Just I don't take anything super seriously. I try to be a part of everything that the kids are doing. And I'm raising, even though it's my 2 nieces and nephew, I'm raising somebody else's kids, and so that's tough. And it's just, again, trying to teach them what my brother and sister-in-law would have. So I think they're going to be amazing kids and contribute to this world, and so are mine. So
yeah, interesting. Do you find that it's a different thing? So like where, when you're trying to say, hey, my brother would have said this, but I would say this, like, do you always say like, how different is it? Or is it pretty much like your program and his program were basically the same?
It was different to start, for sure. Just rules around the house and who's responsible for what and what you can and can't do. And now it's Ashley and I are raising these kids, and it's our rules. And we obviously, we're parenting them. We're not their parents, but we're parenting them. And, we don't hide the fact that they lost their parents. I mean, I think that, a lot of times people just want to shy away from talking about it, but I tell as many stories as possible about my brother. And my brother and sister-in-law started dating when he was in 10th grade and she was in 9th grade. Jeez. So like and I was like in 5th grade. So, so Kim was like my sister. So I have tons of stories about them and, individually and as a couple. And so, I don't really, and neither does Ashley. We don't shy away from talking about the parents, and like whether it's in a joking way or a serious way. And they're their legacies. So their kids are their parents' legacies. And, we want them to do and dream big and do big things. So
big shout out to AGS, and then a big shout out to Ashley, because I know you still travel a lot for work, and you get on a plane and fly out, and she's got 7 kids, like just one person. I mean, a dog is hard to manage on your own, and 7 kids and a dog and a house. And so big shout out to Ash.
Landon and I will be heading onto the road, and I'll be like, hey, we're doing meetings. He's like, I'm scrambling to find a dog sitter. I'm like, come on, man, get it together. And then, to hear you or see your, punch list where you'd send, you're going, okay, here's the schedule for the morning. And it's an 8.5 by 11 full piece of paper just for the morning. I'm like, wow, dude, Yes, your wife's a saint. You too. I mean, just for jumping into it. But yeah, it's crazy living right there.
Yeah, and I tell people, and this is the truth, but Michael would be doing the same thing. So, if roles were reversed, and everybody's got their thing. So, whether it's a lot of kids or a dog or whatever you have, everyone's got something. So.
Yeah. So I'm always interested. So you're from Mississippi. So Brandon, I'm assuming, is near Oxford. I don't know.
It's about 2.5 hours south.
Okay.
So it's
so not that close.
Around it's closer to the capital, Jackson. So it's central
it.
Mississippi, and I'm in North Mississippi now, where Ole Miss is.
Yeah, I was going to say, but not a lot of casinos nearby. I mean, you got some up in Memphis, right? So I don't know exactly how close that is, but what do people think you do? Right. Because I always find it amazing that, like, I live in Vegas, which is arguably one of the gaming capitals of the world. And then when they hear what I go, they go, what do you do? Like slot machines? I don't even understand that. And like, so take that. And I got to believe times it by 100, because in Mississippi, that's just not a normal career path. So do people assume, do they kind of have a handle on what you do around where you are? Or do they just go, I don't know, man, Robert's cooking on something. We don't have any.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll tell two stories around that. So one is my Ashley's grandmother, Southern Baptist, asked me one time, like, what should I tell my friends that you do? And I was like, well, I don't know. Do you want to lie to them, or what should we do here? And so I was like, you can tell them I sell technology, or but no, I think the easy answer to everybody is I sell slot machines to casinos. I mean, that's my canned answer. And then people start saying, oh, are you in the mob? And just like, if you only knew these, multi-jurisdictional requirements that we have to complete for these licenses and the background checks and tax returns and credit card statements and everything else.
It's everything you could possibly imagine.
Highly regulated for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty eye-opening and to most people when I say that, and people think it's cool, and it is cool. Yeah. I think, again, like, being in casinos is fun, and being a part of the process and the business, and having a small part in helping their business grow, I think it's cool. And with AGS being a little bit smaller and being able to be on that ride to, taking the company public and being able to be up there and ring the bell on the New York Stock Exchange and be a part of that conversation was amazing. I mean, as a business guy, that's kind of the pinnacle, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's awesome. So much you've done in your career, man. Like, I mean, you can look back and say, man, you've achieved quite a bit. What are you excited about moving forward? Not necessarily just your career, but maybe just gaming industry in general. Like, when you're looking to the future, like, what kind of revs the engine for you?
Yeah, I think just, everybody's pointing towards COVID about everything. And then going back to starting off in Australia, I think the regulatory environment in the US, looking at, being a little bit more aggressive as to what we can and can't do. I think that's probably what I'm most excited about, because I think you're already seeing it with states, with sports betting, and just getting more up to 2021 as far as, billions of dollars being traded every day wirelessly on Wall Street, and then us having to go completely backwards on what we can do in some jurisdictions with regards to even just like a conversion on a game or something. So I think more of just being able to get up to speed with technology on the gaming floor itself.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what are you most excited about in terms of that technology, either coming over from Europe or technologies we're working on land in the US?
Yeah, I think that being able to tie your player's card to your debit card or your credit card to a certain extent, not having to, if you're at a machine or if you're at a table and you bust your 200 or whatever you started with, not having to leave what you're doing because you want it back, right?
Yeah.
But then you lose your whole mojo. You have to go do the walk of shame over to the ATM machine.
Asportation.
We've all done it, right? So, I mean, I think that's probably more than anything, just being able to get technology into the casinos that's out there that completely exist today. That's what I'm most excied about.
You should just be able to Venmo the dealer, right? Go bang. Here's my reload. Takes 2 seconds. We're all set.
Yeah, I get it though. I mean, there's a lot of people smarter than me that have to make up these regs. So we play by the rules, and that's what we do. But we'll continue to hopefully push them if possible.
How about, so 2021, man, how about goals for 2021? You got any special goals you want to share with us?
Well, that's funny that you asked that, because I have them right here.
Whole page, probably.
I'll tell you what, so one of mine is just, and the people that know me probably would shake their head at this, but I'm just a yes man. Like, I say yes to everything. I said yes to coming on this in 2 seconds. I'm going to try to say no more. I'm going to try to really, focus a little bit more on, saying no to the things that may or may not matter in the grand scheme of things, and saying yes and hell yes to the things that, I'm really passionate about and really care about. And that's all people. I mean, for me, it's family, it's my team. And it's people who have helped me in the past and are willing and want something, for themselves, not just like a, fly by night, ask me for a favor kind of thing. But yeah, that's it. So say no more and say hell yeah more.
Well, we're glad we made the cut before you start implementing more no's, because we're grateful for you, man.
Hard to do for me.
Yeah.
I was glad. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm glad we didn't make it in the no column.
That starts next week, thankfully. Yeah. So we're good.
Oh, sweet. Well, we're running out of time here, unfortunately, and I know you got to get going. So this is my favorite question to ask the guests, and I know you and I have had a few gambling nights together. I will neither confirm or deny if we won or lost. What is your favorite gambling story that you can share with the world, and you won't get in trouble with your wife's friends?
Yeah, I've got a few as well, but I'll try to stick to one. So in Oklahoma, believe it or not, I never played slot machines when I worked for Aristocrat, because I never had the state of Oklahoma. And then I picked up the state of Oklahoma with AGS and found these games called VGT with these red screens. They're super volatile, which is my gambling style. I like to either win it or lose it in the first 20 minutes and be done or excited, one or the other. And so we had pooled some money together. We were at a casino, a tribal casino in Oklahoma, and the team there had pulled some money together. I think we all put $100 in, and we kind of grinded around and lost that. And everybody said, well, they're out for the night. So I went and reloaded and got back down again, reloaded again. And I was just not going out without a fight. I love this game called Neptune's Gold, which is their video product, VGT's video product. And so I hit that one pretty good for about 1,500. Right at kind of quitting time, and
you're
then
back.
Looked over, and there was Red Hot Ruby, which is their stepper product, and took the whole 1,000. It was so the Red Hot Ruby was a $25 denomination, 3-coin, $75 bet, and I was like, I'm gonna go big or go home. I've already gone home a few times, but so yeah, put it in there and hit it for 24,000. So It was the second highest, I think, on the pay table. So the guy sitting next to me knew exactly what the payout was, and they counted it out, man. $24,100 bills. So that was a lot of fun, and I'm pretty sure I've given most, if not all, or more than that back since then. But in short spurts. But yeah, those games are fun to play. And that's my most memorable one for sure. We got a lot of bad ones, but nobody likes to tell or hear those.
No.
Those are my favorite games as well. Lucky Ducky, the red screen, VGT,
Polar
Class 2, man. Yeah, Polar High Roller.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny about that is, so you endured, it sounds like, about 2 or 3 walks of shame to keep it going that night, and then you popped it. So then you get the victory march at the end. Touchdown.
Yeah, I had to pay some of those receipts back the card, but yeah, it was good. And I didn't like paying taxes on that because I had lost.
No one ever does. Yeah, it's the worst part of it. Oh man. So, we were going back listening, or I've been going back listening kind of from the beginning, just kind of, seeing our podcast journey is a little surreal over 9 months. And I feel like, whether you believe it or not, you might be the most mentioned person, right? Because a lot of people talk about hanging out with you or knowing you, right? Like Matt, I think, mentioned you, Burke, right? It's a bunch of people without being called out. So you're here on the show. We appreciate that. And so I'm curious, who would you challenge, right, for future episodes? So we're here. And again, I think, one thing about you is, everybody, right? Like, everybody knows you, and it's nice. I'll be interested to see, like, who should we reach out to in the future for in the next episode of Max Bet.
Yeah. So I mentioned him earlier. I think Kurt Gazane is a guy who's in our space, who's worked in multiple markets, starting in Australia, going to Macau, and now he's in the US. And he started with Aristocrat and and moved around between Bally and SG, and now he's back at Aristocrat. And if he hasn't already, I know he's moving to Vegas. He may already be out there,
Nice.
but Kurt's just one of those solid dudes. His accent's a little bit different than mine, but he give you the shirt off his back, and I think it'd be great to interview him if you want to stay in the, on the vendor side of the business.
We're good with any side of the business as long as it's gaming. We're in, right? So all set there. And we're also accent friendly here. We don't mind if you're from we got an Irish interview coming up. We got the Aussies, Southern boys here. So all good. I'm sure we'll get into some hardcore New York, New Jersey as we go. So yeah, accent friendly as on the show here. No problem.
And we're all vendor friendly as well. So Aristocrat, if you would please let Kurt come on, that would be phenomenal, because like we just said, Polar High Roller, VGT games, favorite games. I mean, come on, let's go.
Let's do it.
There's enough for all of us out there, right?
That's it, baby.
No question. Well, brother, man, thanks for coming on, dude. We really appreciate the time and just hanging out like this. This for me is why we started this, is just to jump on and chat with our friends and talk some shit, I would say, but shoot the shit, share some stories. So appreciate your time, man. I know how busy you are, and tending to an army is never easy. So
it's all good, man. I'm big fans of both of you guys. You know that. So
yes, man.
I'll always say hell yeah when you call.
Hell yeah.
Right on, brother. Well, I appreciate you, man. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, RP, man. Cheers.